I'm Tom King, and this is 4K Skywatching Podcast.
Red alert! Red alert!
Well, that intro's all screwed up. I'm Tom King. This is 4K Skywatching Podcast. We're live tonight in Chandler, Arizona. Tonight we're just going to kick back and use the system, look at what the system can do. I got a lot of stuff up and running. I got a couple of old clips from 1994 in the database. Some of them I processed. One of them is the first time I've ever recorded anything, and it was a clip from South Dakota. You can't see much in it, but I wore that tape out just playing it down and over. So I'm going to play that. And then a few other Gulf Breeze, Florida clips that I had. I did a lot of research on that place. I had friends back in the day that were in Gulf Breeze at the time, and they had a hell of a collection of tapes on them. So I would trade them what was going on here in Phoenix, cases here, and they would trade me Gulf Breeze stuff. So I have a pretty good archive of that. So I'll play a couple of clips of that, and we'll get to using the gear. So now I didn't hit that. That went off automatically. Let's see. Let's get right to it. This is one of the NVRs. We're looking here at 3 thermal cameras, and down at the bottom is a 2K dome camera, and the thermals at the top have they have that in color too. So I can go over to the next one. How's the sound? Does it sound good? I got two different.
I got this thing here. Do you prefer that one?
Or this one? Let me know. Yeah, Truth Seeker was in here the first. Welcome. There's always going to be something that I throw in these podcasts that you've never seen before. Got a hell of an archive. There's always something cooking. I was out of town in Salt Lake City for business. I didn't have time to think about anything other than business. It's business, lunch, and sleep. But I have something in mind that's going to be for next Friday. So I'm working on that. So I want to get that done, and then I need to focus on something because I have too many things going on at once. All right, we'll stick with the second one. We'll stick with that then. Yeah, this is the other NVR. So the clouds are moving in. Yesterday, at this time, we had thunderstorms, and it poured in this time. And I got all that on the NVR. I could rewind that shit if I want to. I haven't watched it all. It's like every camera in here was hitting something. I had the poll down then, but I put it up 4 sections tonight. You can go up to a total of 6. The radar poll can go up to 7, but one of them is screwed up. And I did shoot a video of that, and a private video I uploaded to YouTube here. Sent it to them. I know they watched it because there's 5 hits on it, but they never responded back how to fix it. But you know what? If it ain't fixed, I mess with it. So yeah, we got that on there. About that system. UFODAP, a couple of UFODAPs are running. This one is running on the main computer. Or no, this one is running off the bottom computer here. Um, both of these computers are usually doing something. So what's going on is it's capturing one of the thermals, and it has one capture so far. Uh, so let me pull that up. That's on the lower system. Yeah, there. Got out of whack for a bit. It's hard to keep the time on everything the same. It's mind-boggling. It's when you have so many cameras, you want to see uh, the most synced up time was, because in case something happens, then you want to be able to go back at that same exact moment and minute and second from your other cameras and see what happened. So this one here has 5 recordings so far, and the newer ones label them, so to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you go back through the folders and you look and you see did anything happen. So lesson wise, since these are all straight lines, that shows when it came into the bounding box over here, triggered the system. And straight lines are 99% of the time or higher, just aircraft. The ones you want to look for are the ones that zigzag or go crooked. And the new version of UFODAP, version 2.2.6, does that. It labels each one. But when the screen gets up to hundreds of these, it's cluttered. So you kind of got to monitor that, but it's adapting. It's getting a lot better. And if you got Spectrum, you can use Spectrum, but it's not rigged for that. So this is running. This has actually been running for several hours down here. And here we have the other UFODAP. This one. So this one is the color one. This one is zoomed in to where I captured one before that shot by. Probably need to screw with the focus on this. Um, so far, it's got one that's went zigzag. And as I told you, how they number them. Well, this one is the version 2.2.6 beta. It's not officially out yet, but this numbers the track, so that would be the first recording. And it did do a zigzag, so this one is something I probably want to go look at later. Usually it's a bird, but this is a good way to just automatically watch the sky for you. I mean, shit, having 2 to 3 to 4 of these, what more could you ask for? It really helps, having more cameras and more systems. And another cool thing is if something happens, you can rewind time and go back and say, when did this happen, about what area, and then target your cameras over there and see if you can see it. Cool, man. Discord has the Discord. There's probably a bunch more, but the UFODAP Discord. I never show the pictures here because I want to what they post in Discord. I want to keep it there. They have amazing stuff in there. There's one of the latest posts in there is a guy who has this huge telescope. He's a regular in there. I think its name is CW or something like that. Maybe I got that name right. Maybe I don't. But he's got this huge telescope like this big, and down the back of it, he's got this screen and shit. And he posts videos of him tracking aircraft at 30,000 feet that take up the whole screen, and you could see the blinking lights at full everything. You could identify them from the ground from 30,000 feet with this amazing system he has. Um, and I saw that and I thought about New Jersey, and I thought, this group could figure out what happened in New Jersey, but the groups from all over the world. So there's not just my podcast that's doing stuff like this and live. This is happening everywhere, but none of them are yet doing regular podcasts or live stuff where I'd link them up, or they're out there doing it. And I don't know about it. So this is another thing I need to hook up there. All right, this is a view of the radar pole up 4 sections, and I could zoom in to a degree, but this is really good if I were to take these videos. Um, and UFODAP doesn't have to work live. I can't hook UFODAP up to the camera that's up on the radar that we're watching live right now, but I can record it and run it later. So I could just take it off in chunks. That's usually what I do is stick a USB thumb drive into it and then take off like that day or maybe realistically you don't want to look through days. It's cumbersome, it takes too long. So you're gonna want to look through, I do it anyway, like 3 to 6 hours. And then you might you're gonna get a bunch of chunks that are video files that some of them are a couple minutes long, some of them are seconds long. You can't really feed that good into the system and have it scanned. So what I do is I take it and I break it into like 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock to 5. So I break them down into 1 hour chunks. Then I take those 1 hour chunks, open up UFODAP, set a box area, and target it. Now, if you do that with your night footage, you could catch a lot of meteors that way. Because I have cameras pointing up all the time, but I don't have computers and whatnot just pulling out the great stuff and labeling it like UFODAP. So you manually can do something like this with other cameras. But you have to do it, of course, after the fact, a little bit of editing. You probably need a really good computer that's dedicated to this process, but it's doable. All right, we also are running flight radar here, so if something flies around, I can look them up. Another tool that I don't have that I came across that I wanted to, maybe some of the people in the chat have it, is orbit tracking tools that you can use when you're sighting that have known satellites in them. So, damn, this would take like just yet another laptop or something out. I guess it's on phones, but I think one of them is Orbit Tech, something like that, or Orbit Track. These are probably in the Apple Store. I know one of them you got to pay like $5 to use it, but then you have all this data, and you can take a phone and then mirror it to a bigger screen, so you have something. So when you're skywatching, you can go, okay, there's that one. But then again, the Luna optics I have, you really can't hook that up to a TV screen, so you don't really know that's happening until you play it back later. I never hooked that up to an output. It has an RCA jack or something, something that doesn't look like it's going to have good resolution. So I've never dicked around with it. It can, but I haven't tried it. Too much gear. And I checked out the National UFO Reporting Center. They are global, so they have sightings all over the world. This is a great place to do your own UFO research from the best database in the world. Last week, I went to a MUFON meeting. They were supposed to have Jason Sands. He had some issues come up. He couldn't make it. So MUFON covered, and they covered with the Phoenix Lights. So the presentation on that was done by the state director, and she did a great job covering what happened. She wasn't around to investigate it then or didn't, but her summarization of it was pretty spot on. There's a few things here and there that I might have a slight different opinion of, but that's getting into the minutia, and it's not worth really arguing over, in this town, this one guy said that she got it. She got a good job. So introducing new people to it, state director does a great job on the MUFON lecture. Because when you're at a meeting like that, everybody's level of where they're at in this is different. Some people are hardcore and they know all this stuff and they watch all these podcasts. Then you got just people who are new and they don't, maybe saw something and they want to go to a MUFON meeting and see others talk about this, and it normalizes what happened because it happens all the time. So it's a cool place for something. It would suck if there was nothing at all. Before MUFON, and MUFON was around back then, we had this place in Phoenix called Jan Ross Bookstore. And she hosted events there. And that's where I kind of got into a lot of this stuff and met people. I met experiencers there. There would be speakers that would come in. I heard Art Bell came in many, many times and spoke down there and did talks. I remember this lady came in with one of those crystal skulls, and you got to see it and do a lecture with it. And you've paid more money, you got to touch it or something. So yeah, that was kind of like the watering hole where I met a lot of people in '95 when I moved here. So hey, Dan, how you doing? Watched that cool video we got sent today. Interesting. UFODAP alternative. Yeah, there are alternatives to UFODAP. About 2 to 3 of them. There's SkyHub, but I'm not sure how their software works. There's also a free one that's open source, and there's a guy in um, the Discord for UFODAP that uses that. I mean, he's got tons and tons and tons of stuff on the screen. Man, I need to just do a roundup of links of where people can watch other podcasts like this. That's for damn sure. I need to compile that and start putting that up. It's just not. Yeah, no wonder why there's a screw up. I think I was recording. Let me check the settings. Let me flip this on and take a look at something. I think it's because I updated. I think it was a software update at OBS, and it might have defaulted, and I didn't even check. Yep. Oh well. I didn't know that. That's why. That is why. It's an HD. Goddamn. I'll have to remember to check that next time it cycles through an update. That's why my intro was effed up. Hmm. Did a sound test at little after 5, and everything was cool with that. Yeah. I also have 3 of these running. These cosmic watches. This is where you test the alarm. So that's recording constantly in case something happens, which is pretty cool. I have everything running except RF right now. I need to get back on that too. Man, I was running my own ADSB thing, but it just got too hot to go up there and screw with those antennas in the heat. It's 130 or 4 thermal cameras measure on the roof, or that's what the cameras are. I don't even know what the roof is. It's hot. It's hot enough to make meatloaf up in that motherfucker. So I'll get that done in another month when it's not hot as shit out. And then down in the lower guide, yeah, that's why this isn't in 4K right too. I have the radar. Should I ever want to use that? So that is still sitting there. I haven't had time to do nothing with that, but I got to get around to it. I guess this one is an HD Skywatch. All right, so See, this auto adapted. So here, some of the stuff adapted, right? Some of it. Oh yeah, the font size is all screwy. Damn. Now this camera that I'm using is almost as good as a P900. Almost. It's pretty damn good. This 40 power. It's pretty killer. Let's check some stuff out. All right, just a cloud. If we didn't have so many clouds, I could show you the range of this thing. At just the right time, I can zoom in and I can see aircraft that have almost made it to California, heading from Arizona to California. I also messed around with the settings on this thing, and this is the sun. But it was doing something like this, but with the moon. And I was able to wind that down and really get one hell of a zoom on that. Let's do that. I don't know if I was able to do them all here or if I had, um, or if I actually went into the settings in the browser. It's not liking that too much. But when you mess with that mode, that is a great way to film the full moon. You have to stop the podcast and restart it. You can do some pretty killer time lapse with this type of equipment too. Then run it fast and see if anything goes by that should. Yeah, yeah. I have a folder of thermal aircraft and what their temperatures are, and they vary. They vary on aircraft, a lot of things. It's not just a set thing. I found out using these thermal cameras that I can film aircraft going by in these clouds. Then you can find out the altitude of these clouds, and you can track them too easily. You know, when you click on them on Flight Radar 24, and then you can go, okay, I got a known target that's up there, you know, at altitude at whatever distance. Get good at that too. Um, know your gear's limitations, what it can do when it kind of, you know, things get out of range. That's why I figured out that I could see stuff on Flight Radar at about 40,000 feet or so that I thermal just can't see now. It's just too far away, or there's not. It's, you know, up too high, not peak pixels. But this little sensor, man, it's only like 400 resolution or 500. It does a hell of a job. There's limits to this. People always say, why can't they do this in 4K thermal? And, you know, like with psionics, and they really can't. Long talks with Dave Mason about all that tech. So I get back into town, and I don't know why this happened, but I swear to God, this happened. I hate to admit it. You know, you get the truth here, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I had Enigma Labs app on my phone. Not an endorsement, but I think I was looking through all types of databases. Oh yeah, during the MUFON lecture, it was pretty good. After the main state director got on, Assistant State Stacy Wright, I think is her name. Assistant State Director Shane Hurd got on. He's got a pretty good book, Basics of Ufology. It's for like when we were kids in third grade, needed a book for a resource. His book is a good resource for that. So he went into basics of collection, how things work. But anyway, he did mention the MUFON database shows 20 of the last reports, and that's it. But he didn't say the following. And after that, they're buried. You can never find none of that stuff again unless you pay good money. So that was the reason for the Enigma Labs. I joined MUFON for a month with the cheapest account they had, and then I opened up this software that downloads websites and targeted them and said, go. Uh, I'm not sure if that worked. No, the one I remember was, yeah, it was them. It was them. There's a folder with them. I didn't get much. Their file structure is weird. They got some kind of CMS blocking it. Because you should be able to join and then download everything, then look at it offline later. Because you can't join and look through hundreds of thousands of reports in 30 days, nor should you have to pay forever. You know, put it this way: when you join Netflix, you can watch anything you want. You could power watch it a lot. You could watch stuff offline. You can download Netflix stuff, take it on a plane where you don't have the internet, watch it a la carte, not in these places. So that's behind a paywall. Then you have the UFO tracker website, and that one's hard to go through. And according to AI, about 20 people run that. But who are they in ufology? How come we haven't heard of them? It's strange. So at least it's public. MUFON is behind a paywall. Um, and then we have Enigma Labs, which keeps saying, use the app, use the app, use the app. So that's why I was going to say, okay, what does this do? So I downloaded it, didn't do anything yet, went out of town. I come back, and something pops up on my phone and says, Enigma Labs has tracked you 53 times, um, and it showed a bunch of dots on the U.S. where it tracked me. And I thought, what? And it said, do you want to keep letting us do this, or do you want to turn this off? So I hit turned off, and then I closed it. And I thought, wait, what the fuck did I just see? So I had some time. I looked at it. I haven't even done anything with it. I haven't even opened it yet, but it was tracking where I was traveling. Now I traveled up to Salt Lake City. And so anyway, I thought that's fucked up. So then when I finally looked at it, it'll show you 3 sightings, and then it stops and it's forcing behavior. And then it says, you have to request a friend join this damn thing too, right? So you have to now send a friend request to Truth Seeker and get past that. And then I thought, this is messed up. Then he's got to do it. The thing's like a chain letter. It's a data swallowing thing, and there's a lot of rumors that it was steal money or something, but it just sucks. So I installed it on another phone, haven't opened it, and I'm going to do a test and see if it tracks that one. But this stuff should not be tracking you at all, just by installing it from the App Store. So it wants your data. I don't think you're going to get much back. But the National UFO Reporting Center, that's the best place to look. I did send the spider in to download that. That worked for a while. Then they blocked my IP and said, hey, you're downloading too much stuff, basically. And it was by WordPress security. Oh, interesting. Now I know you're using WordPress. Didn't know that before. So part of my job is a full stack developer. So we built servers from scratch, put all the software in, program everything to front end, all the graphics, the whole front end, the back end with the databases, program all that. And then we do, on top of that, internet security, where we pay people to do network penetration, see if they can hack us. We learned quite a bit of stuff what not to do, right? Best practices in web security, and I've run these things on work and other places too, and you find stuff you shouldn't sometimes, and you close that off. So yeah, interesting, but the best one is National UFO Reporting Center. I just couldn't believe like that that thing tracked me. And the phone popped up and told me about it. It didn't tell me nothing, so I wouldn't recommend getting that. Yeah, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm going to get into the 94 video now why I set this up. Yeah, I think Jack Belly might be in a clip I'm playing here. Okay, in 1994, I was living in South Dakota, and around that time we decided to move to Phoenix, so we had to get everything set up. And I had my daughter out at their little pond they have, and anyway, it's a little lake, and the lake is only like maybe 500 feet across. It's a circle. It's only 8 feet deep, and anyway, it was a fun lake. I grew up swimming up, so as a tradition, I took her there. And after that, I pulled over to the side of the road. I said, "Wait, we got to get out of here. We're going down the water slide." I said, "I think a tornado is coming in, so we got to get out of here and try and drive around this." So, because we had tornadoes there. So this, we get in the car, and I go down just a side road, and the storm goes overhead, and it was a huge thunderstorm. I've always like kind of interested in huge, massive storms are interesting. So this thing flies over, and after it clears us, I pull over on the side of the road, and I start taping. And this is what I taped. So I'm taping the town. There's a storm. There's some lightning taking place here. It's very hard to see, but there's this big brown thing kind of flying over just off. The lightning strikes. I zoom in. I say, "What the fuck is that?" And there's this big brown thing moving through the air, and I I don't know where the audio is because this tape is so old. It's biodegraded. But I said there's something huge flying through the clouds. I think it's looping here. So anyway, I did that. Then this particular one, I rolled it through. I cleaned it up. So here's a cleaned up version of that from AI. It can't get rid of the static, but it can clean up some of the graphics a little bit, some of the pixels, and anyway. And so this was the first thing I recorded, and I tried to investigate this the best I could. Um, I went to the airport and I found their weather person. And I said, "Hey, this storm just went over," and they're like, "Yeah," because they wouldn't fly in or out when that thing went over. I said, "I just filmed a UFO flying over, and it was huge. It was the size of a block, and a block there's like, I don't know, 300 feet, size of like a Safeway or Fry, something that big, and it was huge." And he said, "Well, it must have been dirt. It must have been some dirt that got pulled up by precipitation or whatever this guy said, and was flying around." And I'm like, "Really?" And I thought, this is some bullshit right here. Where did this dirt land? Wouldn't this flying huge thing of dirt come down and just bury a farm? Or what the fuck kind of excuse bullshit is this? I'm better off not even. And they allowed you to fly a plane? You think this dumb stuff? Jesus, man. So, yeah. It's a shit video, but it got me hooked. You get that bug, and you just don't give up. This is when I was having these dreams all the night. This was back when I got kidnapped by these things. There was something going on almost monthly with them back then. And I had nightmares every night about taping these better and better and better and better. So you've got to watch this till the end of it. It's repeating over and over as I'm trying to play it back or something. But at the end, it kind of I forgot about. There's some text at the end. I'm like, God, I did text back, and you can a little bit see it thing about halfway up the screen, brown. But yeah, it could be anything. But it did make sense. It was to me, it looked like a football field sized brown disc. Then at the end, I put some this up. Can't remember how I made this. Yeah, it was my first video from '94. I forgot about that until I watched this. I guess the tape, I didn't play it all the way. It said, be prepared, something is coming. Then I move here and start taping all this stuff. Damn, weird how you can just totally forget entire things that meant something at some period of your life. And if you have them on tape or your phone now or something, the memory kind of comes back. Yeah, Jack apparently would be a hands-on guy. Seen him at some. I seen him at UFO Congress years ago, and he was surrounded by people that wanted to talk to him. Yeah, it's Friday night. If you guys get messed up, get messed up. I used to do that. Whatever your thing is, if you're, I drink water. Usually, sometimes a Coke. And goddamn, a lot of this coffee. That's why when I go on Skywatches from now on, I'm bringing my own coffee maker. Big goddamn commercial bun. Son of a bitch can churn out some coffee because I'm not messing around with my wife telling me bring a thermos. Fuck a thermos. I want to make fresh coffee. I want to have Bigfoot smell the shit. It smells. Oh, is that some aroma out there? And speaking of coffee, there's whistleblower coffee out there. God damn, I need to get. If I had a proper week to prepare, I'd have them. Michael Herrera has started. True Secret, if you could drop a link in here, that would be cool. Or anybody, I want to put this on the screen. I gotta buy. I looked at their website. They have every type of coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, you could want. Different bags is like $20 a bag, so it's competitive with what you get from Costco, man. So, hey, how you doing, Reality Check? So yeah, get whistleblower coffee, but yeah, or beer or whatever. So let's check some cameras. All right, so we didn't even get into a lot of them. So let's go around. Uh, check UFO DAP plot. I have camera system set up. I want to get another video capture card. I recently got one for VHS, and I want to get another one for 4K. So this all sky camera rocked and recorded a hell of a lot of lightning last night. Should save that stuff and run it through UFODAP. I don't want to run everything through UFODAP, but you want to run some things. This is how I recorded the flying humanoid. It was around this time at night, and I just zoomed in until I saw something defined. That's easy pickings when something flies around. Guys, air conditioner blocking this? Yeah. At certain times of the year it does. So I got one of these cheap things. These are good to have. Um, it's USB to just your regular S video or other stuff. I bought so many of these things over the years, converting them, different converters and DVD crap. That's cheap, like $20. And you can go through all your old stuff, run it through AI, fix a lot of problems, and see is there anything in there worth the value. Yeah, there's a couple of those psionics ones. Now there's that, and then there's a pro one. I think that's like 950. So I was looking at that. That looks okay, but I hate to go down from HD, but it is what it is. I need something like that in my toolkit of cameras. Friend Terry Hall hooked me up. I haven't filled out this form yet. That I think they send it to you, and then after 3 months you got to pay for it. So that's kind of cool. It's like UFO crack. Um, I'll send you a camera, and if you use it for UFOs and you're pretty good, within 3 months you're going to film something. What happens is you become accustomed to this is now my way of life using this camera, and I'm keeping the son of a bitch. Here's a check. Pretty brilliant marketing, if you ask me. Well, yeah, thanks, Marcus. Flying humanoid phenomenon is crazy. I'm happy you caught it. It's been around. Yeah, I got that thing in 4K. Um, what's crazy is mouse is this. God damn it! It's the second red mouse to the right. Ah, fuck that. There's the poll. I got to figure out which cameras to optimize and spend the time that's needed just on those. Yep, RCA. Remember all that stuff? That's how a lot of it started. Now Jake Barber though, that dude started on I think 4K. Oh yeah, did you guys hear their leader quit? It's not good. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you, Analog Kid. Yeah, did you hear that of the co-founder of Skywatcher Group left, and that doesn't leave much left on their website. They still have Gary Nolan and Michael Basta and another guy. Um, but Jake's a helicopter guy. He's not a, you know, he. I could imagine he's running cameras. The other guys are, I guess, doing psionics. I don't know who's running the camera. Whoever is should be on their website. Give them some credit. I think they don't, so people don't screw with the people. There's probably a ton of people working behind the scenes with Skywatcher. You just don't see their face. Right. Red alert! There we go. This is the last thing UFODAP captured on the telephoto. Nothing on tracking. Didn't record it. Probably filtered that one out. As a bird. Yeah, when the head of UAPX, Kevin Day, left, that wasn't good for that organization. It kind of stopped. It's not good if you and your buddies and the leader stops. Kind of. Oh, Kevin. Gary Nolan said that they have stuff to study quite a bit, so that tells me there's no egg landing. We're not going to get to see the inside of it. We're not going to be able to kill the NHI. Stuck in the same situation the rest of us are, using these type of systems, UFODAP, automatic captures, and all kinds of stuff, praying, whatever you want to call it, channeling, psionics, psychics, remote viewing. That's another one. Some people either got that or they don't. Most don't. Whatever the hell you have to do to get these, but then Gary said something like they have some stuff to study, so give them patience, which means they probably got a collection system like this and then some with a lot of data that they just got to pour over. But if they had like a huge smoking gun or something like that, that'd be probably studied, brought forth pretty soon to keep interest there. But if they're saying we're kind of dead for 6 months or something, um, then yeah, there's no secret power. There's too many red flags there anyway. The whole left-handed gay people was a huge one, followed by we can locate hard drives underwater. Here's an egg video, but it's not my egg video, so on and so forth. So wish him luck. All right, thanks Truth Seeker for that. Click on that link and you can get the whistleblower coffee. That's it. That's the type of stuff that I would totally support. And the same thing with Lou's Bar. I'd go in there and hang out. I wouldn't drink any alcohol, but they probably got some lemonade or some other shit to drink and support the place. But Wyoming's pretty goddamn far away. I almost got in a fight too, and well, not almost, but in Salt Lake City, I got harassed. I'll tell you that. It's going over to Walgreens to get some food because otherwise you're stuck in a hotel and you got to eat whatever the lobby's closed down. So I'm thinking, I want some real food like some Doritos or something. So we're walking over to, there, and we're downtown. So downtown there's pretty cool. They had a cool arcade downtown in Salt Lake City. Lots of coffee places because, I mean, it's not Sturgis, man. So anyway, but it kind of flips. At daytime, it's safe. At nighttime, the homeless come out. This guy comes up, and he's even taller than me, and he's beat the fuck all dirty. And he's starting his pitch, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. And my friend with me says, we don't have any money, we don't have any cash, and because there's whole bunches of these people, it's like feeding a bird. If you feed one, they're all going to come. So we're walking, and then soon we get into a Walgreens, and I'm in there, and I see these cookies. So I'm thinking, there's not much to pick from. So I'm like, I can't eat all these cookies, man. Just a few. I got to buy the whole damn bag. All right, fuck it. So I'm getting these cookies, get some other shit. This guy comes in the store, same guy, and he goes, man, you have to feed me. You have to give me food. And I immediately thought, oh, fuck. I'm holding this thing of cookies. And it just went through my mind. I can't eat all of them. This is like Mormontown. So what do I do? And then the two people in Walgreens say, you can't beg in here. And I look at that guy, and then I about to turn Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction. Ask me again, motherfucker. Ask me. I was like, didn't want to feed that dude. Poor motherfucker. You could just come in and take the shit and leave. But yeah, I was barely there and had to go through that crap. Same thing happened in D.C. I just about got mugged. Guy pulls up. That's why my back was all fucked up and was fatter than a whale. And this guy pulls up in a bike. He pulls out a tire iron. And he looks at me. And I'm thinking, I played GTA 2. I know what's going to happen next. So I got up and left. Everywhere I go, I'm going to get my ass kicked. Let's go back to Skywatching. Yep, thank you, Truth Seeker. I'm going to get me at least a bag or two and report back. See which one, see how I like it. Utah, well, it's beautiful. Southern Utah is actually more beautiful, I think, than Sedona. Sedona and the Rocks area is cool, but it's very limited. I was driving up to the Skinwalker Ranch thing for expedition, and to drive up there through the Navajo Nation, where there's just rocks, but nothing else. There's no trees, nothing. And it's like you could film Mars stuff up there for a movie because there's no live vegetation. There's nothing. It's beautiful. But then as you go, and I was going along the road, a few hours later, got into southern Utah, and man, it was just like Sedona, but kind of bigger area as far as the rocks. And I was like, man, they should have moved Las Vegas here because this looks like something out of Star Wars if you built shit around it. But no, they moved to a shithole north of Henderson. Now no one wants to go there because they nickel and dime you. I used to go there all the time. What do we got there? Reality check. Good read. All right. Cool. Yeah, I found out I had this cataract when I was reading Ross Coulthart's book. As I was reading it, it got harder and harder and harder. And I said, what in the hell has happened to my left eye? That's when I started getting that checked and I got that fixed. Picked up the book and I'm like, damn, I can keep going. So cool. I hit one button on this puppy and this starts picking up radar. So let's say the Phoenix Lights boomerang comes back. I hit a button, it starts recording, at least get something. Complete amnesty if I get in trouble later. So I have the shit set up. I didn't dismantle it. It's sitting there. If something really huge happens, maybe I'll roll the dice. Um, but I'm not putting it up on eBay. I did put my guitars up on eBay. Oh, there you go. No, I'm not going to spin that up, but I'm going to get the thermal thing up and running instead. I think of them. It switches too many devices. Yeah, I can see now I screwed up the resolution. Or I didn't. It reset itself. Okay, cool. We have a target. This plane. That's hot. Let's find out which plane this is. So I'm going to position the plane here. I'm going to flight radar up. Now, flight radar, I'm over here by this lake. Not this plane. It's this plane. What? Let's see. I think that's what I have. Nope, it's not that one. That one's only at 9,000 feet. Um, so over here is it definitely some cruising at 30. And it looks like it's hidden behind some clouds here. So let's look. Might be this one. Done this many times. So I'm over here where this plane is, and we just saw this plane over here. That's at 31,000 feet. Or it could be this one, 24. And then we'll go, well, where is this here? These planes, that's over halfway to California. So I can pick up aircraft here damn near to California. Word. So I'm over here, and I can pick up, but I can only do it at certain times, like at this time, um, at night, because you can't see this damn thing from in the part of the track. So I'm now gonna try and get those. See if I can get these aircraft if they're leaving the contrail. I'm not into the chemtrail thing. I'm not a supporter of that. I've been skywatching a long time. I think I would have stumbled across it. I've seen it happen. I think it's just ice crystals and things like that. Everywhere I go on a work vacation, someone tries to kick my ass. And I'm like, how come they never kick my friend's ass? He's shorter than me. I guess I look easier to kick. See some stupid idiot stumbling around with titanium pins in his toes. 'Cause I don't wear a Rolex. I just got a beautiful sunsets here. That one. You want to check on some different cameras right now. I have different colored mouses because you don't want to have the same mouse from a bunch of computers because you'll never figure out which one goes to where. So you have kind of, I end up with color memory, like, oh, this one goes to that one, and this one goes to that one. Oh, wow, I've seen this on the TV over here. Pretty nice colors. Yeah, flew over the Grand Canyon on the way home. First time I've seen it. It was a huge gouge from the air. Jesus, that was huge. There's some awesome areas of the whole Southwest that people just don't live in. Not in huge numbers. But you know what I found is in Salt Lake City, they're building apartments like it's going out of style. They're doing it here right now in the Phoenix area. Is maybe 250,000 apartment units are being built at once. I don't know where these people are coming from, but they build these things in about 9 months. They're 5 stories high. They're everywhere. They don't say what the rent is. You got to go to a website, and then they have to say, well, how much do you make? Well, then how much? That's the rent. Then half of what you make for rent. I don't know where all these people are coming from, but they're doing it in Salt Lake City. People watching probably doing it in your area. Because, like, just these 4 high rises alone that are like 22 stories high for people to move in, That's 30,000 people just boom sucked in. Where the fuck are all these jobs? I don't even know. The freeway is going to be screwed up. All right, let's play some Golf Breeze stuff here. What guitar are you selling? I just sold an Ibanez K5, a 5-string bass, and it was up for 10 days, and I got what I wanted price wise. And then I sold a Ibanez K7, and lots of people watching that. I usually buy stuff on eBay. I never really. This is like maybe the second or third time I sold stuff. So yeah, those sold. And then I had a bunch of people email me tire kickers wanting to lowball you and get it real cheap. And then you look at see if they're um, if they're not a scam, because I'm like, am I being scammed? Is this a scam or something? I don't know. But then you look at them, it's like, oh, this person's a flipper. They just want to get them cheap and then put them up. So yeah, I got another one up there for $3,000. So once I sell that, then the radar will be cost neutral. So that's cool. I may be kind of crazy, but I'm not that fucking crazy. No, I need a. I actually bought a 4K body camera, the same one that the police have, and I was going to take it with me up to Salt Lake City, but then I thought, nothing's going to happen. It's just a trip. I ain't going to need this. No one's going to come up and demand my fucking cookies. Someone did. They give me your cookies, or else. Oh, there we got another one. If the UFODAP got triggered. Something went by. I got number 9 on the second UFODAP. On that one. I think we had 9 before. But yeah, so anyway, back in the day, I did a lot of research on Gulf Breeze, Florida. There's a really good book I got somewhere unless somebody lifted it on that whole thing. I think it was co-written by the late Dr. Bruce Maccabee, and in 1 year they had 176 Bubba sightings in about a year and a half, I think. A lot of them, and Bubba was a ring of red lights that would just show up at night, and they would record it. Bruce Morris was famous for recording a video of one of them where there's a red light, and everyone's seen this probably in the chat. And he goes, "Look, look, 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 look!" And I couldn't say it. And my wife all of her friends would go, "Look, look, look, look!" And this guy says, "Look," like a million miles an hour, and we all try to say the Bruce Morris, "Look, look, look, look." It's like that Vulcan thing. You can't do it at first. You're doing this, and then you hold your fingers together. Some people rubber band the shit. And eventually, you get the vault. Get the Vulcan signal on that. But the Bruce, look, 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 look. Yeah, I got it down. Took a while, but mastered it. Can you do the Bruce Morris look? So that was one of them, Bubba. They would set up, but over here by the sound, Bubba would show up somewhere else in Gulf Breeze, Florida. They'd go over there. The next night shows up where they were. So it was screwing with them. So there was some intelligence going on. There was a lot of sightings, and there's photographs in there. They photographed them through telescopes. It was a huge goddamn thing back in the day. A lot of stuff was going on back then that feels a lot like what's going on today. There was so much coverage that people thought disclosure is right around the corner. That was the whole vibe back then because it was happening pretty quick. So we had all those Bubba sightings. Then on top of that, we had Ed Walters, and he kind of kicked off the whole thing down there. And his book, of course, happens, and everybody knows what happens with him and the model. Nobody knows. I don't know. I'll just say that. What the hell happened to that guy? Is he alive? Where is he? He just fell off the radar at some point. But he got an advance of $500,000 to write a book. And when that happened, UFO fever exploded, and all these people come there to, just like we're having now. All these bandwagon people jump on, and they go, I'm going to Gulf Breeze. I'm going to make some money off this. This is disclosure, and they attach themselves to the project. Now, back then, MUFON was a different type of MUFON than we have today. On a national level, they didn't support abductions that I remember. They were rigid against that. They're more of the, we got to have academics to be in MUFON. But then MUFON kind of even promoted the Gulf Breeze thing too, because Bruce Maccabee said that Ed Walter's photos and some of his videos were real. And so did Jeff Sanyo. And Jeff Sanyo was a video analyst for MUFON back at the time. So they both backed it. So MUFON kind of had to back it under peer pressure, or they shit on the work and the word of Dr. Bruce Maccabee. So I guess, I don't know the politics behind it, but that I can imagine that's what happened. So then when you accept, okay, Ed Walters was real because Bruce Maccabee said he is, then we get into the abduction stuff. And that's all in his book. And I ended up knowing some of the people that went there later to try and get in on this UFO wave. And a lot of people that are new, the millennials, they don't know anything about this. They don't know that, this whole thing back in the 90s, 93, 94, 95, the whole thing was coming out with, it seemed like disclosure was inevitable back then. But look what happened. Just poof, went away. So let's play one of these media pieces here.
That's all.
Kim is on the phone from Florida. Kim?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Kim.
I myself saw lights, which I think some kind of UFO type sightings on the way from Arizona to California. We were on the highway, and I looked up near the mountains and saw a very large light, which was stationary. Did not move. It would dim, then get brighter. Then, like the speed of light, it would be miles away, which was totally incredible.
Yeah.
Did that frighten you?
Very much. I was in awe of this.
Yeah, most people can tell the difference in what they're looking at. Most people can recognize that they're looking at something that's traveling across the sky in a straight line that might be a satellite, or most people can see an airplane that has the different winking lights on it. And when you do see a UFO, most generally you recognize, wait, this is not something that's normal. This is really strange here. What's going on?
Can you give us very quickly what you've come away from all this with, Ed?
I've come away from this with a very open mind. My mind in the past, of course, I felt like I was probably mainstream America. I never gave much thought to it, and I had never had any incidences. I'd gone to see the movies and different things just like all of us have. But on that particular first sighting day, Veterans Day, 1987, my mind was expanded, and I will never be the same.
Well, it's real.
Since humans first appeared on the planet, we've wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we have the technology to see ourselves as others would see us, from outer space. And according to some, they are definitely looking. December 31st, 1979, when Dave Fogarty was flying off the coast of New Zealand, he spotted this unidentified object. January 11th, 1973, near Sevenoaks, England, a retired RAF sergeant photographed this UFO flying above the treetops. Guatemala City, 1976, a film crew shooting a commercial captured this flying object, still classified as an unknown. In the western United States, this speeding UFO was tracked momentarily by an observer in a passing car. And on October 12, 1989, KSNF-TV shot this UFO as it lurked over northern Oklahoma for 4 nights. What was it?
Minutes.
It's exclusive. They're going to take us inside. They were top military analysts privy to secret government information. And when they went AWOL, they became wanted, dead or alive.
It meant death to leave the military, especially military intelligence.
And why did they risk their lives? Was it because aliens told them to?
2, 1.
They were pillars of the community. He taught Sunday school and
Army intelligence officers. 2 years ago, they were trusted members of the military with top secret security clearance. Then, suddenly, they gave it all up and went AWOL. And now, for the first time, one of the soldiers is ready to tell us the astounding reason why they disappeared. Here's Rick Kirkham.
We said, okay, well, if we got to go AWOL, we want to do it soon so we can get it over with. We decided in June. The Ouija board told us, no, you can't. It has to be after July 1st.
We had received calls from the CIA, the FBI, and they had told us that they wanted these guys bad, that Washington wanted them held, they wanted them separated, they wanted nobody to talk to them.
We were given a lot of UFO information.
Vance Davis is a self-proclaimed man with a vision he claims came to him through a game board 2 years ago. A vision, he says, that has proved to him that UFOs and aliens are among us, and that those aliens will soon be part of some world events that will change our planet forever.
Hey, if they want to believe I'm crazy, that's fine. But I know what happened. It occurred to me, I was involved with it directly, and it happened.
If it were anyone else, Vance's claim that a Ouija board confirmed the presence of aliens here would be written off as crazy. But Vance is not just anyone. He is a former top-secret security-cleared military analyst, and he is also one of the 6 military analysts who deserted their posts in Germany in July of 1990, allegedly because spirits speaking through the Ouija board told them to. Vance says that though the spirits told the 6 of the alien presence, his access to privileged information in his top-secret military position confirmed it.
I saw a lot of things in my job. I heard a lot of things. Some things were that we got off the Ouija board was confirmed through the job.
Vance's story began on July 9th of 1990, when he and 4 other men, as well as 1 woman, walked off their U.S. military base in Germany, hopped on a plane, and disappeared. Because the 6 military analysts all held top-secret security clearances, their desertion immediately instigated a priority manhunt around the globe. Federal authorities at first suspected espionage, and according to a military source, any agent who found the 6 was authorized to, quote, exterminate. In other words, a literal license to kill should any of the 6 resist apprehension. The 6 soldiers headed to Gulf Breeze, Florida, guided there, they claim, by the spirits. Coincidentally, Gulf Breeze, Florida is the UFO hotspot in America, in part because of these photographs allegedly taken by Gulf Breeze resident Ed Walters a few years ago.
I tend to believe that they did indeed plan on meeting with me. I tend to believe that the story that their sisters and parents are telling, that they had information about UFO cover-ups, I tend to believe that's probably true.
Once there, the 6 soldiers were quickly arrested after one of them was pulled over for a traffic violation. But Gulf Breeze Police Chief Jerry Brown had no idea of the importance of the 6 until he reported the arrest to federal authorities. The Gulf Breeze 6, as they became known, were quickly moved to a military base. The government announced the 6 were part of a cult that believed Christ was going to land in Gulf Breeze in a UFO. But Vance says during their incarceration, the government treated them not as deserters, but as very special people.
As we had just been locked up, and they were talking about us, the guards were, and an E8 came in and said, cool, the talking. We don't talk about them. One sergeant asked why. Because this is from the top, and that's what the E say. This is from the top. These people are special. They have certain powers, possibly, certain abilities. And the Pentagon and the staff do not want anybody to piss them off.
Vance says he and the other 5 told military interrogators of the information given them by the spirits, as well as some world predictions the spirits had reportedly provided. Predictions like a major combat to come in the Persian Gulf, an event that in fact did occur 6 months later. There were also predictions of events yet to happen.
There will be a couple 8 earthquakes on the Richter scale in California in the next year.
And by 1994,
with the martial law in the major cities, all major cities, they'll pretty well leave the internal things apart, but the major cities will be under a martial law.
During their interrogation, Vance says another strange thing occurred. A faxed message was sent to the authorities from an unknown person at the military base which the 6 had deserted.
There was a fax sent from Augsburg that said they will let out all information about UFOs and everything else if they didn't release us.
Then the most mysterious part of this story occurred. Vance and the other 5 deserters were given honorable discharges and released. The 6 of you desert your posts, all of you top secret cleared, fly to the United States, start looking into UFO phenomenons and into other things that you really probably shouldn't have been. You are pounced upon by government agents from several different branches, imprisoned, and then basically given a slap on the wrist and an honorable discharge and say, you're on your way. That isn't the way they usually handle deserters.
Maybe they were told by some of their psychic people that they used that, hey, things are getting ready to change, and these type of people are going to start showing up. And maybe they were told, you don't want to mess with them. You don't want to piss them off. You don't want to kill them.
Inside Edition managed to contact 4 of the other 5 soldiers. All of them refused interviews, and all are trying to keep as low a profile as possible. However, they did all agree that the Ouija board played a major role in their desertion. However, none of them wanted to explain why they would risk imprisonment and possibly even death just to get to Gulf Breeze, Florida. And even the police chief in Gulf Breeze feels the government's initial suggestion that the 6 were simply part of a cult just doesn't wash, especially in light of the fact that Vance Davis was presented with the military's highest non-combat medal just 3 months before the 6 soldiers deserted.
The military made a mistake when they let the public or told the public that these people were members of a cult. I do wonder sometimes what these people were doing in the same location in the same place. And there are a lot of things that's unexplained, such as our UFO cases. But I personally don't know anything about the cult.
When Inside Edition first contacted military officials to learn their side of this story, we were told we would be provided with an interview. However, once we submitted the questions we wanted answered, our interview was denied by the Pentagon. Vance Davis refuses to reveal any other information as to what physical evidence he came across in his top-secret post that would support his story of aliens and UFOs. He only points out from an insider's perspective, he says, that the government knows of alien presence on this planet.
There is no such thing as UFOs. Let me tell you why. Because they're not unidentified. They're identified. The government can say there is no such thing as UFOs. It's the way you word the question. It's the way media has worded it for years. Is there such a thing as UFOs? No. We know where they're from. We know what they are.
Davis says that American politics play a role in his prophecies. If George Bush gets reelected, he says, the end of the world will come a lot sooner than if Bill Clinton wins. And we have much more to come from New York.
Brought us here to Gulf Breeze, Florida, where the bayous and the moss hanging from the trees creates a look that you might suspect would be inviting to beings from another planet. And it was here, in 1987, that a local builder named Ed first began seeing what he thought were spaceships. He couldn't be sure, so he took pictures of them. Ed's pictures prompted a rash of corroborating stories. To date, the paper has been told of 78 sightings by 135 different people, including the publisher's own parents.
And they said, that's what we saw. So with that corroboration, I lost, for all practical purposes, lost all fear of going ahead and printing it. Because if you can't trust your mother, who can you trust?
There is not, to my knowledge, a single photograph of a craft-like object that can stand up to rigorous scrutiny.
If Ed's pictures are fakes, how did others in Gulf Breeze take these photos of a similar UFO? And how do you explain the unrelated eyewitnesses?
It was was a saucer-shaped big object with a white light shining beneath it and had portals around it. It was a very clear night, and we could see it very clearly.
UFOs, unidentified, yes, but for millions who've seen them, something real exists out there, and their stories are hard to ignore.
On Monday, we'll continue our investigation of the UFO phenomena and meet two families.
Yeah, that's some old school shit right there. So, multiple things going on in Florida. We had the high-profile Ed Walters case. Then we had the Gulf Breeze 6, which a lot of people had never heard about. We had the Bubba sightings that were going on. And then we had some people that I ended up meeting. They were the ones I traded tapes with to get these daily news type tapes that were coming out. A lot of these I can fix up and restore. Maybe I'll do that. But some of the stuff is probably online, but I don't know how much. So I'd have to look at that. And then all this stuff is hidden by YouTube anyway. Yeah, Marcus is a supporter of the site and a professional musician, so he knows. I'm not selling my 6-string. I'm keeping that. I want to get the guitar that Robert Smith plays. I think it's a Spectre 6-string. You cannot. My kid never got. Why do you have so many guitars? Because each one is has a personality. They have their own tone, and if you want to play a song and have it sound just like what you hear on the radio, then you have to have that guitar. Usually you have to have the mics or the amps mic'd up, similar sometimes some of the pedals they have. But you start with the guitar. If you don't have the guitar, you don't have the sound. You don't have the tone. So yeah, the Gulf Breeze happened a lot. My friends never really got much press. That's the one I was telling you about. Mike Hawkins, who faked a lot of stuff. I still have all of his stuff. Some of his stuff he posted on his YouTube channel, and he posts low quality shit, I think on purpose. Now, I have his stuff pretty high quality saved, and I can AI that stuff. I mean, for instance, he went out, he was later on TV, one of those fact or fiction shows. He filmed the same thing that Ed Walters did. He was going in a car down by Gulf Breeze, the ocean or something, and he filmed the Ed Walters craft too. I mean, this guy he should have worked for Hollywood. He can take $2 and make something out of it. He's real cheap, and he can do all kinds of stuff. Another videos he had were UFO landing videos, and he had a number of these where these objects had landed at night, and somebody is walking around, and you can see these lights, and they're known as the Christmas tree videos. I have all those. And what's funny is you could find out, if you're a really, really good detective, you could find out they faked them. And then you can kind of find out who faked them. That's what I did way back in the day. Now, the Gulf Breeze 6 got a lot of press. This is a weird case that I'm sure millennials never heard of. If they didn't hear of Gulf Breeze, you haven't heard of the Gulf Breeze 6. Short synopsis of the Gulf Breeze 6. You had 6 intelligence officers that were working in Germany or some overseas thing, and they were cryptologists. So apparently they were encrypting cables that were coming overseas from the United States, and probably decrypting stuff and sending that back. So somewhere during their job, they got convinced, reading these cables, that UFOs are real. And it's covered up, and it's in these government cables that are coming over encrypted. So this is the weird part. All these high-profile stories have a component where, yeah, it probably happened, but a huge, heavy heap of bullshit somehow gets attached to it. So anyway, they started using this Ouija board, and the 6 of them started believing everything the Ouija board told them. Now, you heard they were called a cult. There's only 6 of them. You've got to be more than 6 for a group, a cult. That was a group. So they got really scared of what that Ouija board was telling them, and they went AWOL. And there was news alerts that had nothing to do with UFOs that these 6 people went AWOL, and they know all this top secret stuff. They show up. Nobody thought UFO back at the time, but it was just on the news, and then they get arrested in all places, Gulf Breeze, Florida. And you've seen kind of what happened. Then they released them. And when they released them, they just went on blab, 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 talk, talk, talk. They wrote this. Remember when I told you about the Jan Ross bookstore? And that's where I seen the Crystal Skull, where I bought their manuscripts. This is Unbroken Promises. This is their shit. This is a table of contents and their predictions for the 90s, right? That fucking Ouija board talked, man. If it wrote all this shit, that's a lot of Ouija. I mean, Marcus, a professional guitarist here, right? You get calluses playing guitar. Well, you must get some calluses playing that Ouija board to do books and to tell them, hey, the boogeyman's coming, get the fuck out of here. Now, there's some tie-ins with this case that are kind of like what's going on now. People think that something big is going to happen, the disclosure is going to come. They believe martial law was coming. Well, you can turn on the news and maybe that's happening slowly. They also believe Jesus was coming back. Well, in ufology, you have this guy who gets all the press, Chris Bledsoe, who maybe something happened, but he's definitely filming bullshit. And the latest one was an orb with wings, you know. So he says Jesus is coming back. These guys said Jesus is coming back. These guys use the Ouija board. Chris has telepathy. Same shit, different decade. Nothing, and I mean nothing. They said the predictions came true. I thought about this a few months ago and dug this out, and I read through it, and nothing came true. None of the predictions, none of their big earthquakes, none of their world-changing events, nothing. I mean, they had so the Ouija board, lied or was bullshit to begin with. So that was just one component of that. Later, Vance Davis, I never got to meet him, but he was around town a lot. He worked ironically, for Jim Delatesso at Village Labs. So yeah, that was part of the golf precinct. I don't know what happened at Walters. But Golf Breeze was the shit back then. For my investigation, a lot of this stuff, not all of it, but some of it was being hoaxed. How the hell do you explain Ed Walters, right? He's got these photos, and then you have, like you saw the testimony, this woman who doesn't know him saw the same thing. Other people don't know him, photograph that type of object. He's got some videos that are very, very weird. Some of his videos, he never put his name out. There's a couple of videos that if you're a real hardcore UFO person, you've seen that show a UFO hovering in the daytime, and then it takes off and shoots away. And there might have been a roof line there. It was on, I think, UFO's best evidence ever caught on tape. Those were Ed Walters' videos. He shot the best stuff. He also shot one on the beach that he admits that was hovering, then it took off. Some reasons I think why he didn't want to admit it is because he's shooting everything. He's getting all the best shots. And by having anonymous people record the same type of thing, it helps support his case. So yeah, I'm going to clean some of those videos up and look through them, upload them if needed. 10 years old. Well, it's cool that now you can kind of find out. I don't want to get too deep into that, but yeah, I got a lot of yeah, Ouija boards are something I never messed with, but it's made by like Parker Brothers, man. I mean, how the hell is a demonic summoning device coming out from Parker Brothers? A radio, maybe. I guess if you can get eggs to land by summoning, you might be able to get instructions out of. So we're going to go to the next clip. This one's shorter; it's only a couple minutes long.
Material wouldn't really allow too terribly much of that, but I can tell you that indeed there was an interior. So often people think maybe there's no inside to one a UFO. There is an interior to it. They seem to be motivated for their own purposes as opposed to some kind of something that, you know, some kind of message to mankind. I don't know. I didn't ever receive any kind of messages or anything like that. It was much more like I was just being studied or examined. As strange as that may sound, that's what it was more like in a holding type of a cell, a room with a what would have to be, I'm not sure of the material, more of a porcelain type material for a table, and you are not just walking around enjoying yourself and having a tour of a craft or something. That's not the case at all. You are not really able to move about yourself. You're being placed on this table and done with without being in control.
What did they want from you?
Well,
what were they examining you for?
Well, it seems, and the physical evidence that was left over gives some kind of hint, and I can share that with you after this hour. And there's a lot of details as to how this happened, but to cut to the quick of it, after this hour and 15 minutes of missing time had taken place on May the 1st, 1988, I was quite traumatized. And that next morning, when I was moving about, I had gone to the bathroom, came back through and looked in the vanity mirrors in my house, and I saw on my head a nickel size, about the size of a nickel, bruise in between my eyes and also on my temples, each one. And in the center of this bruise is was a red abrasion about the size of an eraser right in the middle of the bruise, and then a very large knot on the back of my neck, as if some kind of clamping device had been very tightly clamped over my head. And of course, we had that documented with the photographs and everything from the investigators, who had already been in town for many months, teams of investigators taking witness documentation and testimony on everything that was going on.
All right, well, we have a lot of questions here. Meredith is on the phone from Pennsylvania.
Hi there.
Hi, Meredith.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay.
Glad to see you've recovered.
Thank you.
The bruises are healed up nicely. My question, you sort of answered it, was how much did you actually remember with or without hypnosis? Can you describe what the people or beings actually looked like? Did you actually see them in person?
Yes. Yeah, there was an encounter that my wife and I endured on December the 2nd on our back porch. Very long detail about, just to the quick of it again, I'll tell you that I heard the dog bark, and I got up and went to the French door, pulled down the shade, and then in doing so, my body went down a little bit, pulling the shade up. And as I looked out of the screen, out of the French door, 12 inches on the other side of the glass, was a being, a creature, an entity. It was about 3.5, 4 foot tall, had a shielding type of device in front of it, had a silver type of a rod in one hand. I know this sounds absolutely bizarre, but all I can say...
Did it look like we're always told they look? Did it have, a big eyes and no nose? And
this thing, there's a book out that has on the front cover of it an artist's conception, and it has these big almond-type looking eyes. And indeed, I saw a 3.5, 4 foot being with these type of big black almond eyes.
All right. Well, if you would like to join our discussion, please give us a call. Our number is 213-469-5533. We'll be right back. Of the Gulf Breeze sightings, and we're taking your phone calls. We begin with Steve from New Jersey. Steve, you're on the air.
Issue was this. I've witnessed UFO sighting myself, and I was curious, what time of day or night do they appear, and is it always around the same time?
Steve, what did you see?
I saw a friend of mine and I were sitting by the river, and about at dusk, we saw a bright light come up from behind a tree and just sit in the sky like it was a star. And if I hadn't seen it come up, I wouldn't have known what it was. I just thought it was a star. But we watched it, and after a couple minutes, the bright light went away, and it turned into flashing, spinning lights. And it started to move across the sky slowly, and then it started moving back and forth across the sky really fast, like nothing I've ever seen before.
Ed, what do you think?
That is quite a normal sighting. The technology that this thing displays is just purely awesome. We have a minute 38-second videotape of this craft flying around back over a soccer field, and a minute 38 seconds into it, the craft just disappears, just winks out. So the technology is just incredible of what this thing can do, and these rapid changes in direction and the things that it can do is just incredible.
But Ed, if this is, in fact, what has been going on, and you have so much evidence, why hasn't the government sent the Army down there, and why don't we hear more about this?
Quite difficult to explain why the military doesn't do anything. Maybe they know what the situation is and it's something that they can't handle. I could only guess why they don't do something about it. I'm kind of a conservative flag waver myself, and I always I just expect the government to do the right thing. But if they don't know what to do and if it's out of their control, what do you do?
All right, now you talked about a specific technology, a stereo camera used to document this. What difference does that make?
It's fantastic because it puts a stop to a lot of the naysayers who would have you believe that Ed and a lot of people in Gulf Breeze are perpetrating some kind of a hoax. What these stereo cameras do, which is the first time in history that UFOs have ever been documented on stereo cameras, not only a stereo camera, but two stereo cameras, one of a 35 millimeter format and another one a 2-foot parallax arrangement of Polaroid format, and both of them have documented the same craft in airspace and been able to triangulate the distances to see how big it was and how far away from the camera it was. In one case, on May the 1st, 1988, the craft was 475 feet away out over Santa Rosa Sound and 150 feet in the air, 20 to 24 foot in diameter. Definitely out there.
Let's take another phone call. This is Ginger from Missouri.
Hello?
Ginger?
Yeah. Listen, I'm not counting what you say to be false, because my daughter-in-law and I, back in 1979, the spring of 79, my kids lived across the street, and we were walking across the street from my house to her house, and there was an amber beam, just like a big pyramid, that came down over my house and over her and I.
All right.
And we don't know how long we were in it or anything. She won't talk about it. But this happened back in 79, and we didn't see anything or anything, just this amber light around my house and her.
Yeah. You know what's so totally interesting is just sweeping me away as I travel around, the number of people that come forward and say, Ed, that's okay, buddy, we know because we've seen it too.
Ed, did they say they've seen it the way you've seen it? Are the sightings very much like yours?
Yes, throughout the area, a lot of people.
Totally different world back then. That was back when you could keep track of what was going on, even if it was a pace like with Ed Walters and the different groups. You could at least somewhat keep track of it. But it's impossible to keep up anymore with what's going on. There's too many ufologists. You know, maybe I solved it. All of those 5-story apartment complexes that they're building in all these big cities are for the new ufologists, because there's like 10,000 people a week seem to show up, and they'll have 100,000 subscribers or some shit. You look at it and you go, hey, this guy's been around for years. This isn't phony. And then another one, and another one, and another one. It's just, fuck, a lot of that. You just can't keep up with it. There's so much stuff coming out. It all started, I think, it's just a snowball. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. People I know who've been into this field for a long time, they can't keep up with the hell is going on. So I guess that's good. It's better than the decades when it was slow as hell and nothing went on. That was why you could keep up with it. So did the monetization unlock what we're seeing, or did it ruin it? Because there's tons of people in this just for the AdSense money, just for whatever they're getting on Twitter, Instagram, whoever the payment system is, TikTok. There's a lot of people I can look at and just go, nope, you would not do none of this if you weren't getting all checks from AdSense. If you were doing this out of the goodness of your heart, like these old school people back before all this, back when Stanton Friedman was alive, God rest his soul, they wouldn't be doing this shit at all. They all think they're the new Stanton Friedman, but they're only doing this for the clicks and shit. So, and then there's so many people. But there's also the good part. Let's look at the good part. It helped get rid of the stigma because they wouldn't do this before if the stigma was so high because it wouldn't be monetized at all. So it's just a weird world we're in. Oh, I don't know. Does anybody know what the hell happened to Ed Walters? I don't know. UFODAP has shit the bed. All right, lesson here. This UFODAP is screwed up. See how now this is what the cool system does when it numbers these. But you see how the tracks here? There's 20 of these path tracks. The thing is malfunctioning now because it's nighttime. This probably happens to people all over the place. What's happening is it's recording false targets. And it's been doing this since it got dark. Now, these cameras here, they have, Rhonda comes in all the time, and she's like, it's still nighttime out? No. No, it's completely dark outside. This is what my camera sees. We could still, this is the radar camera up 50 feet higher, so we could still see, the sun going down, but it's not going to get a hell of a lot darker than this. See if the motion control system on the radar pole is still working. It's going right, it's going left. It's not going up. It's going down. It's not going up anymore. Fucked up again. This happens because that big long wire snake that goes up to the back of it, I don't really have a plan of how to do that right. I've looked at it, stared at it, tried how can I re-engineer this, and I just can't because the controls got to spin around. But what happens is all the weight, the higher up you go, the more weight that's on that communication wire snake. So that's pulling the internal wires. So I got to have some way where the wire can move, but it's got to be totally gripped once or twice because it's pulling. If I come down, undo it, and push it, it'll fix itself. Been dealing with this for a while. That's the problem you have with analog control systems. I have two Pelco pan and tilt systems here. One's on the radar pole, the other one's on the thermal. The thermal shit I unplugged. I unplugged the pan and tilt because I was accidentally having the sun go through it every damn morning and didn't know. Didn't know, a lot of shit to maintain. Yeah, a lot of the people here. Well, I tested that, Marcus, on a podcast. I would bring up people and then find out the person. You see that deer in headlights on their face, and they don't know who the hell you're talking about. Like you start talking about the godfathers of remote viewing to a remote viewer, and the remote viewer doesn't know who the fuck the people are who started the shit. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Whether abductions are still happening. Is this still a thing, or what? Is it over? Like, does it seem like there was a major wave of that back in the '90s? And then look up. Should be a bunch of stars. It seems to have died off. But I think the abductions still happen, but not on like a mass scale like we used to see. It seems like, well, Woodley Strieber is the one who said that at a MUFON meeting. he was saying that it's over, and there isn't a lot of these happening. That there was something, um, there was some program that the Greys or something had initiated, and then they shifted. So he was saying he thinks um, that it ended, or they just got better at abducting people and then getting rid of your memory of it. Because there are people who say, no, I'm getting it. Linda Thompson's one who says it's happening to her. That's really something that's been understudied, is the whole abduction thing. It's kind of hard because it's a very sensitive subject. Got to be done with care. I mean, these are traumatic experiences for people. This camera right here is really good with stars and all that stuff on Max. Each camera is kind of like a cat. It has its own things good about it. I should be doing this in the browser. I just kicked into night vision. All right, that's too much of a zoom. When I Skywatch, I try to stay around between 12 and 16 power, by the way. So you got some room to zoom in. That reset the pass. So we'll see how. What? Hold on. Let's do another thing here. Turn on enable. I just turned on enable nighttime aircraft identifier. See if that does anything. Yeah, 2005. My first one was when I was 5 or 6 or so. When we were out fishing, something landed. I talked about that a while ago. So I got that one reset, so the path is reset. Got that one good there. What kind of analog cameras do you use? I still got this little motherfucker. And it works. What's crazy is I had this sitting in a cabinet for 12 years. And I thought, hey, I want to go. That's why I wanted to digitize an old thing. And I went and I powered it up, and the goddamn thing works. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. This thing's been sitting for 12 years and the battery still holds the charge? What the hell? And it was a Sony battery. These are the same batteries you get for a lot of those TVs, which is cool. I want them, if they get a battery, use the same fucking battery for 50 years until we don't need batteries anymore. I'm sick and tired of new device, new battery, different type slots, different connectors. I got so many fucking power control adapters, it would make your head spin. Jeez, when I go to charge all these cameras and put them on the beast and take them out, it's a motherfucker to charge all this. The thermal has a special lithium purple thing. Everything's got strange shit. So it's nice having those cool type batteries. Analog, what are you using? Pelco? I don't know the answer to that. It's very interesting. I'm kind of burnt out on the disclosure thing. Jeremy Corbell said in one of his last weaponites, there's nobody who has hands-on stuff in the program that's coming forward. None. Nobody. There's no first-hand whistleblowers coming home. The only thing we're going to get is people who, like Matthew Brown or David Grush, that know a guy who works in it. And a lot of people are getting that way. They know a whistleblower. They know a guy who said stuff. I don't know if I trust them unless there's two people there, like two people that said, me and this guy here both worked in this military program or whatever the deal is. I just don't really trust one guy anymore because here comes Rothkopf, here comes Jim. I don't know if I believe it. I think it needs to be stepped up. Like journalism, you have to have free sources. I think for these whistleblowers, you need two now. Yeah, Whitley just turned 80. He's a good dude. If you hate Whitley, you probably hate yourself. He's a good man. No, that's high 8. High 8. Tim Edwards had the same thing, so I ended up getting his tape, and I ran it through there. A lot of my best saves were back in the day when I saved AVI files to CDs, data CDs, and then sometimes I got to go get them off there because if I put a tape in a player, the tape's all biodegraded or the player heads are screwed up. You'll never get as good a copy as. Well, amazing these cameras still work. Some of these digital ones I think will brick after a year. So far, this hasn't went crazy yet. A lot of stuff on here has to be dialed in just right. You guys ever go through the National UFO Reporting Center? Start looking up your city. Holy shit. And Mick West's UFOs aren't real? What a punk. Delusional people. There's a lot of either Mick West and his cult are really wrong, or the world's populated full of fucking crazy people. And I'm over here where there's a heavy, heavy concentration of crazy. So this is a great database, man. You could spend years pouring through these reports and coming up with analysis. And if Peter Davenport in the National UFO Reporting Center, you're going to give some money away. You want to donate because you can't donate your time or you can't hook something up to your apartment or you live in a homeowner or something. Help fund this organization. This, where would we be without them? This is a national fucking treasure. In fact, I said something that I don't know might be controversial. I think we should nationalize the UFO Reporting Center, not turn it over to the government, but I don't know. Come up with a revenue stream like National UFO Reporting Center coffee or shit, or Big Mac, some kind of tofu, whatever the fuck you eat. They need a revenue stream. Because if they were gone, I mean, we wouldn't know much about the Phoenix Lights without them. They have about 250 reports in that database. Another huge hotspot is Washington, Oregon. Lots of org videos around here. But fuck, that's Canada. Even in Canada. Is there a Sasquatch database like this? I bet you Dave Scott would know. He's a Bigfoot expert. Look at all that. High concentration of crazy people if they're wrong. Ooh, lots of crazy here. Lots of people who are saying what's up. There's sometimes videos with these photographs. So make sure to check your city out. If you have people on the fence, you got parents or siblings, co-worker, people who don't believe it, show them this. Bring this up on your goddamn phone at lunch and say, all these motherfuckers are crazy. I mean, even, okay, let's look for where I used to live, middle of nowhere. Even at nowhere, there's actually a place in Arizona up around here called Nowhere. And there's probably a fucking sighting down there too. I bet you. That somebody a case of Red Bulls. Nowhere, Arizona has a fucking target there. Where is it? I'll show the beginning of this. Okay, this is where I took the fucking sighting here. Aberdeen, South Dakota. And that, this is that little lake, Wiley. Had my kid over here going down the slide and shit. Said, hey, there's a tornado coming. To be kind of a cool dad. Let's not go down water slides with the funnel cloud and shit. So we pulled over here. We went down this road and pulled over this way. And I looked towards this town. And that thing was the size of a block. So this is a block, whatever that size is. So that was a black football motherfucking thing was going like this way. Even in a small goddamn town, shit happens here. Lots of good resources. Another place is don't forget the FAA. The FAA, I've covered it on the show in the past. They put out quarterly reports or maybe monthly reports. Arrow puts out bullshit from time to time, but the FAA puts out reports, and then you can download these. I think they're Excel files and go through there. So even our government is a better resource for this than UFO Stalker, than MUFON, than Enigma Labs. Now, apparently, those three places, maybe not UFO Stalker, but the other two are CIA-funded databases. So it's ironic. You report the shit, then the shit goes to the CIA or NSA so they can have AI look at all this data and start looking at patterns. With our money, with our tax money, that's what I'd be doing. I mean, I'm a programmer. If I had a whole team of people with me, that's what I'd be doing. If I had Peter Thiel money, I'd have an Enigma Labs. I'd have people that, their salesman's not a good guy. He was on, Rojos was on the UFO podcast with Martin Willis. He talked about money more than Eddie Murphy said fuck in Eddie Murphy Delirious. He does. He did money, this, money, that, money. Not his money, I don't think. He's a realtor, man. Somebody gave him money to set that up. And if I had that type of money, I'd have a whole team of people doing that. The whole thing, it looks like since they tracked where I went 53 times in Salt Lake City, that's not the data they're looking for. They're looking for who you are, where you are, and selling that. Like, they can get that from the phone. They can get all that user data off my phone, where my location was, a Chinese place. I ate at. They had a Chinese place with a robot, for fuck's sake. That was cool. But, yeah, there are some good resources on here, out there that you can do. So make sure when you're skywatching, you use those. Head back with a reach around here. I need to start upgrading my shit with satellite orbital trackers when I'm out at doing night sky watches. I'll probably somehow get my hands on a psionics camera. And if you're gonna use that, then get like Orbit Tech or whatever, some app out of the iOS store, or maybe it's for Samsung. We used to have that shit, Google Play, and get something, and then try and get that on like a small screen, a laptop. And when you're sky watching, try and marry your cameras. So if you have say a UFODAP system or something, on one screen have what you're recording, on the other screen try and bring up that orbital tech thing. So that way, if you record them and then you play it back, there should be a match. That will help, like they'll help rule out satellites, like the Sedona stuff I've done last month. Probably could still go back and marry up some of that shit. So I still hear there's helicopters coming out of the ground every night, and I don't know. I don't think so. I think most of it can be explained if you have the right technology, the right tools. Yeah, you mean that one that loops around? You usually see that by somebody who knows what they're doing. Yeah, I could, if I found somebody who knows what they're doing, I could have that loop go up around the radar pole. The problem is it has these handles that lock it. You have to pull those to lock and unlock it. And I think whatever I use would get twisted around those. Maybe, maybe not. But if I have 50 feet up and it curls, that would have to be like 75 feet counting the curls. One problem I have is I'm at the max of the cable going up. For instance, the heading indicator is 50 feet long that's hooked up to the radar. That's going up the pole. So when I have it up all the way, that's almost pulling the damn cable out the wall. I did this almost under the inch, but I can't get any farther because some of these have limitations of 50 feet, so I can't say get 75 feet of wire spinning up, if that makes some sense there. Oh yeah, Finland. Finland, mandatory service in some places. Yep, that is the place to go. I need to buy them and send them some whistleblower coffee. Those guys deserve it. I heard Peter Davenport bought a bunker a very long time ago. All military is smaller than the U.S. I think there's a lot of exaggeration on. They always hear the military is 50 years ahead of it, shit, and then you hear, well, these countries have this huge army and military, so we got to have it. And then it breaks out, and you say, well, they fucking suck. They don't have all that shit. I'm almost thinking if Russia were to launch nuclear weapons, they'd blow up in the ground in the silos. Maybe 4 or 5 would get off. They'd be intercepted from space from top secret shit we don't even know about. Not even worried about nuclear war. We got so much shit that can shoot down all their crap. They would have to blast 6,000 missiles at once. Anybody played the game Missile Command, we're going to lose a few cities, but we're going to save about everything. They're going to be completely fucking destroyed by the U.S. military. You don't fuck with the U.S. military. Only stupid people have. I think the war in the future is not going to be on the F-35s on the other side of town. It's drones. It's going to be drones. It's going to be you send in thousands of drones, and they go in at low level, just over treetop, or go through the trees anymore. And you can't stop that shit. So war has been scaled down. More money on that. Is it Finland? Isn't that right over? I'm trying to think. Norway, Finland, Sweden. Without looking at a map, I'm trying from memory. Those cool places. Oh yeah, let's see. Finland, you say? Well, let's go take a peek at whereabouts here in Finland. Where is your concentration of crazy people that report you? And just think, for every person that reported a sighting, 100 people did. Helsinki. All right. Well, the force told me Helsinki, but it didn't. It's the place with the most red dots. All right. So let's see what we got here. These are details. 9 reports. You got a triangle shape in there. You got others. You got a rectangle. Over here, they'll have a yes if there's any media. Let's look at this triangle report. Triangle with lights on an object, 3 yellowish shapes in Finland. 3 yellowish triangles shaped in Finland. Sitting watching the sky when a triangle appeared in the sky with no sound, moving very fast. The lights were yellow, whitish, and saw some black lines connecting the 3 lines. I saw that every light was a bird kind of shape and thought they were birds, but it didn't make sense at all, and I was just shocked. I flew low. That's just one. I mean, you gotta look up your city. And that's right downtown. See, if I went there, somebody would challenge me, dude, you gotta buy me some fucking food. And I'd be like, yeah, I have extra cookies. Nope, I'm gonna kick your ass. Yeah, I'd get my ass kicked. Let's see what we got for this one. A couple. It's like one report. Fireball. Flames in the sky. The clouds saw an incoming meteor. There's a few reports from where you live. And if you do report a UFO, do it to the National UFO Reporting Center. And send in a drawing. It's very important to draw. If you can't do anything worth the shit, draw it out. Find a person who can draw and get that drawing out and send it in. I mean, what's something that may not make sense right then might make sense later to someone else. Triangles. Triangles are pretty rare. Huh. And nobody knows any of the states in the United States. They could name maybe 4 or 5 of them sometimes. I don't report my stuff to MUFON. They'd be over here every 6 weeks. Eastern Minneapolis, where people are nice. They all wave to you when you drive by the street. If you break down, they're kind of like Canadians too. Canadians spend 1 year of their life waiting in lines because they're saying, no, you first. No, I insist. I will wait. You came here first. No, you first. That adds up over time. Americans will say, fuck you, I was here first. Get out the way. Canadians, you first. You fuck around, I'll kick your ass like a hockey game. That's an incoming plane. All right, let's check this out. That plane. That plane right there. That we see is this one. That's this plane. That's the one coming in. There's one right behind it. And that is at 9,000 feet and dropping. It's going to do a turn. And then the other one, see, these guys are all entering Class B airspace. And Class B airspace is airspace under 10,000 feet down to, I think, 500. When you're in Class B airspace, you must slow your aircraft down to about 350 miles an hour. And they'll all do it. And that's just something you can learn looking at this. This guy's at 15,000, but he's descending just like he is. This guy's probably down to about 4 or 5. He's going to keep dropping. Now these guys up, and then you can see their speed's all going to be about 250. knots on that guy, 262 on that guy, 294. Now this guy hasn't exactly entered Class B airspace, but he's about to. He's at 21,000 feet. He's going 340, so he'll decrease aircraft speed by 100 miles an hour. I watched a lot of this when I was coming in flying, just on the trip I was at. Aircraft I was on was going about 560 knots at 39,000 feet. So when you look at the range, and that tree is blocking that one, if I can move around that. By switching over to the radar should see up over that tree. It's not flipping up. Oh, geez. Yeah, so that's over this mountain. These guys are flying right over that mountain. So I can easily pick them up. And this is about 15 miles away at least. But at nighttime, I've gotten them as almost about here, almost out to Eloy. So that's a hell of a distance. I mean, I'm looking easily across half the state, depending on conditions. And then when the sun goes down, if they're really high up, like these guys here, 32,000 feet, yeah, 460 knots. Now, if the sun was an hour back, I'd be able to see this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, all these guys heading on this flight path. So with the right elevation, it's fucking amazing that I could see halfway or third across the state going towards the west. Visual range, I never really looked. I can easily see over the Superstitious Mountains and the Four Peaks. Probably could pick up these guys here, which is almost up to almost up to Snowflake, Arizona, where this plane is. But going up north, see, that's why there's an optical illusion going on up by Sedona, because what a lot of those lights are seeing up there is, like, say right now, City Park over here, you're viewing these mountains that are seen in the distance. But then the aircraft that you're seeing are a lot of them leaving Las Vegas, coming in for a landing. So when you're filming at low elevation, and you can see this on a clear night, you see all these heading in the same direction. These are going to be going up, then they're going to have another direction coming in that's going to be going down. So it's an optical illusion of all these aircraft can be seen from down here. Just as I showed you that I can see almost across the entire state, easily a third of it, that when you're in Sedona, under the right circumstances, you could see planes that are coming in for a landing from Las Vegas that are probably coming out of Denver Airport or farther away. A lot of these are getting mistaken for military helicopters and whatnot. It's an optical illusion. There's a lot of optical illusions in ufology where something looks like something that's not. It's not. That's just, I was born with no sugarcoat, because then I could pour it on bullshit and hand it out like Stephen Greer. So they made me different than that guy. Yeah.
Fucking A.
Destroyed medicine. Was no one nice in Minnesota anymore? Do they give you a finger when you get a flat tire going, haha, fuck you? I know in the past he'd pull over and help that dude, push him out of a ditch. I mean, whenever my dad would crash the car in the ditch, somebody with a winch would come by and pull us out, man. Well, yeah. All right, man. I'm going to wrap up. I can't believe this has been going on for 2 hours and then some. Looks like the stream held up okay. I apologize. I fucked up and was supposed to. I didn't know it, but I ended up reinstalling OBS and it looks like it reset my 4K stuff back to HD. That's why the stream isn't in 4K. We'll be back next Friday. Next Friday, I'm going to cover the Tim Edwards story. Back during this time period, when I was looking through the 94 stuff in 95, there's a lot of cases that were big back then that simply died down in ufology and are being forgotten. Tim Edwards was one of the hugest cases I can think of in 1995 where he filmed this mothership. And let me get a good outro here. So just give me a sec. Let me switch over to radar here. I'll give you just kind of a. I'm not done editing yet, but it will be pretty soon. So many of these. I got stabilized sections. Let's try this. Hold on. Okay, now you have access to it. It was set up for 4K. I think I even took his material and went to 8K with it. Tim Edwards is the guy who filmed this cigar-shaped object. No. It was studied by Bruce Maccabee, the late Bruce Maccabee, and Jim Delatessa.
There ain't no little airplane that moves 5 miles in 2 seconds. Or it's moved more than 5 miles. It moved over that part of the sky there. It probably moved 500. It probably moved 100 miles in a matter of a second or two.
All right, just about.
These up there now, you know.
It's all upside down. Anyway, I was working on that. Blew his video up to 4K. Looked at it. I knew him. Spent weeks at his house. I'd go there for like a week at a pop and hang out with him. Usually my wife Rhonda would go with. Knew him, knew his family, knew the trials and tribulations of Tim. One time I went there and he was in the middle of a divorce. I had no idea what was happening because it's a 14-hour drive to his house. And on that drive, hell broke loose when I showed up and it's like, this is the worst time you could possibly come. So I was a friend of Tim's. And I remember the story. I investigated it. I got a hold of him by dialing information and got him out of the phone book. And called him as a friendly guy. Sent me copies of his stuff. A lot of it didn't survive. A lot of the copies were like third generation news stuff and other coverage of him. I still have a few good ones. I do have this footage. Really good copy of this footage, despite that upside down weird shit. But I have this master. He gave me his master tape. A lot of people trusted me with their tape. And I've said before, back in the days of tape, what did you record over? Was it a blank tape? Did you record over something that was special to you? In this case with Tim, on his master tape, they were on a fishing trip. And I think when his video ended, it was back on a fishing trip. So he was recording over a family fishing trip. So if you're recording over like a birthday or something, that's pretty important. It's not a hoax. You know, People didn't do that back then. So that was something you investigated. Now everything's digital. And there is no, like, they recorded over a birthday. So that was something you'd have to investigate. That these people today, these monetized people, they don't even know. They don't even know shit. I'm going to wrap this up. Truthsaker, #1 guy in here. Great promotion on Twitter. Thank you. Yeah, it's too bad that some of the archive stuff goes to hell. Some of it I couldn't say because the copies were so bad. It was just gibberish and screwed up. But yeah, I'm gonna have a full couple hours on Tim. I have interviews with him and his daughter. Some stuff I went up there. It would be a very hard to have Tim around right now because ufology today isn't the world that we had back during the Tim days. If you second time I'm just gonna say this because I don't like. If you like this shit, hit that like button. It, I guess, helps throw this podcast up into random people's feed so more people watch this stuff. Don't care about blowing up with hundreds of thousands of people. It'd be nice to have a lot of Skywatchers watch this. People who are doing stuff. People who go out and do real research. Not interested in just bots and people who aren't doing anything. I'm here to teach. There is a video clip I'm going to upload if you join this channel. It's $3 a month. It'll be coming up pretty soon. It's gonna show a new light on Tim Edwards' footage in a way. What this footage is it's from Village Labs. I think it's about 8 minutes long. There's 2 clips on here. It's the clip started off. It says Village Labs, do not copy, private. List the person's name and then location, and then what's on this tape is a black donut that was hovering over his house, something like that. And after that was a little bit of footage that looks like Tim Edwards' video. Pretty close match. This footage was sat on, and it wasn't shown to people. That's why I said don't copy. So Village Labs had this footage and refused to, I guess, go to the media with it. It helps unlock Tim's footage a little bit more. That footage I'm going to upload in a couple days. I'm not going to do any analysis. I'm just going to give you, here's the thing that I got from Village Labs. I don't know how the fuck I got this video. I don't remember ever having it. This tape somehow ended up in my collection. I used to have 670 VHS tapes. And it ended up in this collection at some point, and I never really watched it until about 270 videos before it's all lost. That's why I have a pretty big archive of a lot of old school stuff. So I found this clip that I'm going to upload. I thought, damn, I wish I had this back in 1998 when it came out. That would have been helpful. But anyway, I'm going to post that up. Members will have that. I'll show the whole thing next Friday on the podcast. I got a lot of stuff. This stuff is up for you guys. I'm the working man Skywatcher. If I get something good, it might be live or it's going to be playback. I have radar ready to go on the ready. If something pops up, hopefully some people can call me, get a hold of me, DM me. My Twitter feed will pop up if I get a message. Do that. Follow me on Twitter and shit. Something pops up, I can hit a button. We can get radar of it. We'll see. This was a kind of a long messing around, doing some live stuff. I appreciate you guys watching. I will be back next Friday night at 6, and we'll do a comprehensive story on the Tim Edwards case and my inside track on that. So we'll see you guys next Friday on episode, I think, 34. This is all fucked up, too.